We've got some pretty huge news to talk about today, something that's most likely going to lead to a very large trade here in the near future. There's been a lot of speculation in the recent weeks about Matthew Tkachuk of the Calgary Flames and his willingness to sign in Calgary long term, especially after the departure of Johnny Gaudreau. And today, what a lot of people suspected has been confirmed. The Calgary Flames will be trading Matthew Tkachuk in the near future because he has informed the team he will not sign long term. We learned of this today thanks to an article posted to The Athletic by Jeremy Rutherford and Haley Salvian. I'm going to read you the first couple of lines here. Matthew Tkachuk has told the Calgary Flames that he won't be re-signing with the club, multiple sources tell The Athletic, making a trade for the 24-year-old all-star forward likely to happen soon. Tkachuk has not officially asked for a trade, but the fact that the restricted free agent is unwilling to make a long-term commitment to Calgary would be the driving force behind the decision to move him now. And it gets a little bit more interesting here as well. In addition to making the Flames aware that he won't be re-signing with the organization that picked him 6th overall in the 2016 draft, Tkachuk has supplied them with a list of teams with whom he would agree to a long-term contract with. Tkachuk does have some power over where he might land, given that teams likely won't want to pay as large of a trade price for him as a rental. One source familiar with Tkachuk's list said that St. Louis, Vegas, Florida, Nashville, and Dallas are options. New Jersey and the New York Rangers are also among the other teams that have expressed interest in the past. So that's all I'm going to read to you from the article. I will actually leave a link to it down below in the description if you want to read the entire thing for yourself, but now I kind of just want to give some thoughts on this whole situation. And first things first, I just want to say I really feel bad for Calgary Flames fans. This has been a nightmare of an off season so far. Obviously, first they lost their franchise player, 100-point guy Johnny Gaudreau, to unrestricted free agency. They lost him for absolutely nothing, and now you have another franchise player, another 100-point guy, saying he's not going to sign with the team long term, and it's likely going to end up with him being traded here soon. And of course, Calgary Flames fans have a right to be mad here. They have a right to be upset, but at least in this situation with Matthew Tkachuk, he has actually been honest with the team and he's given them a heads up, and now Calgary's most likely going to get a very sizable return in a Matthew Tkachuk trade. That is a much better outcome than, say, if Tkachuk and the Calgary Flames went through with the arbitration case. A one-year contract would most likely be awarded, which would walk Tkachuk straight to unrestricted free agency next offseason, where Matthew Tkachuk would obviously most certainly leave, leaving the Calgary Flames with nothing in return for Johnny Gaudreau or Matthew Tkachuk, which just would have been a complete disaster. Now I quickly want to touch on why Matthew Tkachuk may not want to sign long-term with the Calgary Flames, because that's been, a running question on social media over the past couple of hours since this news has came out. And I think this is something I heard Elliot Friedman touch on recently, Frank Saravalli maybe as well, but since the whole pandemic and everything, players have been wanting to get closer to home. That was, of course, the big reason why Johnny Gaudreau didn't elect to re-sign with the Calgary Flames and wanted to go to an American market, and I'm sure you noticed when I listed off the teams that Matthew Tkachuk said he would sign a long-term contract with, they were all American teams. So although yes, it really does suck for the Calgary Flames organization, it sucks for their fans, I really just think it comes down to a player wanting to be closer to home. Now, among the teams that Matthew Tkachuk said he would sign a long-term contract with, the St. Louis Blues were in that list. That is where Matthew Tkachuk is from, and I feel like that is honestly his most likely destination here. Reason number one being, obviously, Matthew Tkachuk said he would sign a long-term contract there. That's where he's from. He'd probably love to play for that team. But reason number two, I really think the St. Louis Blues have the assets as to where they could put together a very intriguing package for the Calgary Flames. Now, they did recently just lock up Robert Thomas to big money for long term, so I don't think he'd be included. I think the centerpiece of the return for the Calgary Flames would be a guy like Jordan Kyrou, same age and same draft class as Matthew Tkachuk. They're both 24 and were selected in 2016. Jordan Kyrou just had a massive breakthrough season with 75 points in 74 games. I think it starts there. Then you'd most likely have to find some salary filler going back to the Calgary Flames. I was thinking a guy like Vladimir Tarasenko, who's heading into the final year of his $7 million contract. That could definitely give the St. Louis Blues some space to be able to sign Matthew Tkachuk to that long-term deal once they do complete a trade, if that happens. And then obviously take your picks on whatever draft picks and prospects would be included in the trade, but I think that is the gist of what the structure would look like in a Matthew Tkachuk deal to the St. Louis Blues. Keep an eye out on my community tab, because I definitely think in the next couple of days I gotta make an NHL deal or no deal video centered around Matthew Tkachuk before a Tkachuk trade actually happens. I'm really interested to see how this situation plays out, where Matthew Tkachuk gets traded to, and what the return could look like for the Calgary Flames. It's not too often a player the caliber of Matthew Tkachuk at his age is available for trade. Tkachuk is one of the absolute best wingers in the league. You can make the case that he's one of the best overall players in the league as well. I think a return for Tkachuk should look something like what the Buffalo Sabres got for Jack Eichel, or it could even be more. So that is going to do it for this quick video going over the news that came out today. I'm really interested interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this, and if you're a Calgary Flames fan, just know I feel for you. One of my good friends, I don't give Tkachuk. Obviously, his channel is literally named after Matthew Tkachuk, so go subscribe to him, make him feel better if you're not subscribed to him already. Be sure to leave a like on this video if you guys did enjoy, I'd really appreciate it, and if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want to stay up to date with all of the news and trades and signings that happen throughout the offseason, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all soon.